For Jeremy Clarkson's whole career, he's been known as a petrolhead with controversial opinions on environmentalists. So a lot of people were left surprised when he decided to step into the complex world of farming in 2019. However, Clarkson's roots to farming date back a decade before the origins of diddly squat. In 2008, during the peak of Top Gear, Jeremy bought 1,000 acres of land and farm called Curdle Hill Farm in Oxfordshire, England, near Chipping Norton in the Cotswolds. The land came up for sale during the 2008 financial crash and was going for a lot cheaper than usual. When I say cheaper, I mean 4.25 million, but still, pretty cheap.
No, I mean, the truth of the matter was that land almost never comes up for sale around here. And 2008 was the big financial crash. And this came up for sale. And I just thought, nobody's making more land. So many people are moving out from London, but it was a lot less then. So I just thought, may as well get it.
Another reason why Clarkson bought the farm is mainly down to money and taxes. You see, you don't have to pay death duties on land. Speaking to the Times, he said, rather than just have money in the bank and get a statement with numbers written on it that gives no one any pleasure at all, you could derive a great deal of pleasure and pass it on to your children. Land is a better investment than any bank can offer. The government doesn't get any money when I die, and the price of food that I grow can only go up. But there is another, much more important reason. I can now have a quad bike. The fields were mostly growing a rotation of barley, rapeseed and wheat, farmed on a contract basis by local Chipping Norton villager Howard Pauling until his retirement in 2019. Howard's retirement, along with the coinciding pandemic, prompted Clarkson to challenge himself and farm the land himself. However, before Clarkson entered the world of farming, he wanted to renovate the 312-acre farmhouse estate to prepare it for the insertion of the Clarkson family. In 2016, he got his plans validated by the council, and in Jeremy fashion, he blew the original Curdle farmhouse the fuck up, as can be seen from the Grand Tour episode. However, it didn't go down too well with the local residents, beginning an agenda against Clarkson from day one. The new property was renamed Diddly Squat to indicate its lack of productivity. The actual new farmhouse includes a basement cinema, an attic's game room, an orangey, which I just discovered is a room that basically protects your plants in winter, a room for 5 cars, a special garage for his quad bikes, a yard for his horses, 6 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms. The surrounding barns and gardens were also given a glamorous makeover, complete with a vegetable patch, potting shed and a plant room. In the farm's first year, they managed to produce good quality wheat and raise a flock of sheep. However, due to the weather, the farm's crops brought in £90,000 less than the previous year, leaving them with only a profit of £144. Despite a lackluster return on the farm during a difficult period, when the show released the following year, Clarkson's Farm became the most watched Prime Video original series in the UK. The show received great reviews, and was applauded for acknowledging that this wasn't a view of a regular farm, as most farmers can't bankroll their dramatic losses with an almost infinite pool of TV money. But because of this, it allowed viewers to fully understand the severity of pressures farmers are under.
Somebody described what's happening to farming in this country as ethnic cleansing. That's a strong thing to say, but it sort of is happening. The government is trying really to drive farmers off their land. People want the countryside to look like it does, and it's farmers who made it look like that. And I think, I wonder what the countryside would look like if there was no farming here. In 5 years, the subsidies, the grants are stopping. So farms have to think of new ways of making money. They have to.
You're looking at the decimation of British farming.
Yes. Most of the farmers like me are 66 years old. We're throwing in the towel. Let's just take the government money. It won't be our problem if people starve. Maybe be our problem. It might be public disorder. At the moment, we are stopping producing wheat, which makes bread, which everybody in this country eats. We're being paid to grow wildflowers. We need to have food produced and made in the UK. But people say, well, we can import from abroad. The same madness is happening in Europe. They're asking farmers to plant wildflowers instead of food. Okay, we could bring food in from Brazil. Do you know how they do that? Cut down the rainforest. Where we're standing now was once a field. Heathrow was once a field. But we, the farmers, are blamed for the environment. So let me have a little competition. I will stay in my garage all night for 2 cows. Let's put a politician in a garage with his diesel car burning all night, and we discuss who's killing the environment in the morning.
In season 2, one of the main storylines of the show documented the outspoken Clarkson pointing out how farmers have been betrayed by Brexit, with their loss of EU subsidiaries replaced by meaningless slogans. You see, UK farmers currently receive no payments under the EU's Common Agricultural Policy. In fact, during a meeting with Jeremy, local pig farmers near Diddley Squat even said that their entire pig farm was put under threat overnight as a result, and don't even take a wage, highlighting just how bad it had gotten for farmers. In addition to the £66,000 losses in subsidiaries for Diddley Squat, a combination of poor weather conditions and the fallout from COVID made it a difficult year once again, which forced Jeremy to try and diversify the farm. He did this by getting cattle, which would in turn create meat and produce for the farm shop and a newly constructed restaurant built from the remains of a derelict barn. However, once again, his efforts would be halted in their tracks. You see, another major storyline was documenting Jeremy's fight against the bureaucratic bullshit from the local council. Trying to build this restaurant and a country track on his own land to diversify the farm's income proved a lot more difficult than one would think. At every angle of planning permission, Jeremy would be denied. Basically, the old age pensioners in office at the local council said that their argument was basically because they didn't want to ruin an area of outstanding beauty, which is fair enough. However, Jeremy pointed out that the field the car park was going to be on was already a mud pit, and that the new restaurant would create jobs in the local community, use and sell produce from surrounding farms where they wouldn't usually have an outlet to sell otherwise. Basically, there was no downside to any of the proposals Diddley Squat put forward. The main problem was because of the success of the show, it became a victim of its own success. The farm shop had basically become an international tourist attraction, leaving loads of people queuing in their cars and annoying the old farts that live nearby, which led them to have an agenda against Clarkson. In fact, one villager described the farm as a total menace and a danger. It got so bad that Clarkson was considering going to the lengthy and expensive costs of taking this to court. However, Jeremy discovered that renovating a derelict barn could be built without prior planning permission. However, the plan's success hinged on the council not objecting to anything about the site, meaning that nearly all the work had to be completed in just 48 hours in order to prevent a formal complaint from being lodged. Although successful and a hit with the local community, within a few months the council would force the restaurant to close. After the season's release, the audience resonated with the events arguably more than the previous season. One online commenter stated, "The main thing that Clarkson has done, whether he meant it or not, is highlight the incredible difficult life that our farmers live and work. My heartfelt thanks goes out to all the farmers, farmhands, and anyone who helps them produce our food and maintain the beauty that is our countryside." Another commenter stated, "Whether he was serious about farming or not, Clarkson has done more for the farming community to bring attention to their case with just 2 seasons than any farming organisation has done in decades. It's not just the general public who have gravitated towards Clarkson's farm. Farmers across the world have praised the show for highlighting the struggles they have to go through."
I think this is the programme that farming needed. It really is. Because what you've got the serious programmes about farming like Country File or, some of those other documentary type farming programmes that people with a certain interest will watch, but a lot of people won't because it's not their thing. Whereas the thing about this is that this is drawn in a lot of the public, from what I'm seeing on the internet and stuff, it's drawn a lot of the public that wouldn't normally watch farming programmes. And the way he's done it, with the comedy element involved, if you like, the bit of humour, it's pulled people in to watch it that wouldn't normally watch farming programmes. And they've gone, oh yeah, I didn't realise they did it like that, because there's so much interesting information in amongst the kind of like humour, if you like. And so we're getting across to the public, I say we, Jeremy Clarkson is getting the farmers' message across the public of what we do deal with. And I've yet to meet a farmer who doesn't like this programme.
Raising awareness for farmers, the show also raised the profile of young farmer Kaleb Cooper significantly, with him basically becoming a celebrity and a voice for young farmers, managing to speak to the Prime Minister about issues, release 3 books, and do a UK tour since Clarkson's Farm's been on the air. On the 3rd of May 2024, the 3rd season of Clarkson's Farm dropped on Amazon, with this season detailing Jeremy once again dealing with the loss of subsidiaries, forcing to diversify by becoming a pig and mushroom farmer, dealing with the terrible droughts, and of course the bureaucratic bullshit from the local council. The council once again wreaked havoc on the farm, demanding that Jeremy's restaurant be shut down and various facilities and products at the farm shop to be removed. In fact, the council deemed it wasn't even a farm shop, but an entertainment and leisure facility. However, months later, Diddley Squat would finally win their appeal, meaning that they could keep the cafe, toilets facility, car park, and burger van. However, diversifying your farm's income is never simple, as Jeremy's lager company quickly discovered. After launching a brand new cider and selling thousands of bottles, the bottles began exploding. Basically, the fermentation process was still happening after the cider was bottled, and led to hundreds of people taking to social media to complain. This required Jeremy to send out a public service announcement immediately, telling customers to disarm the bottles underwater. But with exploding bottles, severe droughts, and diversifying the farm, they made a profit of £72,500 for the harvest. However, every single penny had to be reinvested back into the rising costs in chemicals and seed for the next year. So if you're a farmer who doesn't host Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, it becomes increasingly more difficult. In 2023, Clarkson said that most of his crops either failed tests or failed altogether. He stated, "This year though, it was noticeably bad. Very bad. And what made it worse is that I normally invest about £40,000 in seed, fertilizer and sprays. But last year, thanks to the war in Ukraine and the inflation that resulted, I had to invest £110,000. And then having done that, all I could do was hope that the weather would be good, which it wasn't. In my first year of farming, I made a profit of £114. That will look like a dream result when I get the figures for this year." Jeremy even considered selling the farm as a result of the difficulties that go into running a farm operation. "I've tried farming conventionally, it didn't work. I've tried diversifying, and that hasn't really worked either. And I've tried with sheep and pigs and cows, and that has been a bit of a disaster as well. So I've arrived at a crossroads, and was not sure which way to turn. I could sell the farm and earn far more from interest than I do from growing bread and beer and vegetable oil, but I like having it, and for very good reasons. There are no death duties on farmland, so my children like me having it too. This means I have to hang on to it. But what then? Do nothing? That would be heartbreaking, so I have to do something. But what? The many bases that this show covers is pretty incredible. From animal conservation, bureaucratic jargon, climate change, and just generally detailing how difficult it is to run a farm, especially in these current times. It's educated the masses about an industry that gets easily neglected despite its glaringly obvious necessity. Thank you so much for watching this video, it really does mean a lot to me. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment below what you want to see next.